Alright, I'm your host, Nick Cohen, coming to you live from my apartment and my room in it. Um, most most recent update, I'm going to try to be a little more animated, but I had work today, so no guarantees. Um, so I got off of work today I finally got all of my paperwork printed, which I needed for the reapplication basically, to Medi-Cal. I needed proof of my current insurance with Blue Cross. I needed proof of that, and I needed some pay stubs from this last quarter to prove that I had a job. So I got all of those after a bit of effort, not too bad. And I took them into the office to show them to a worker before I just dropped them off and make sure they were all correct and the right documents and in the right order, and that I had signed everything that I needed to sign, um, so that that wouldn't happen again. What happened the first time where I forgot, where I didn't give them enough paperwork. So that has been accomplished, and the next step in the process will just be to wait until I get the confirmation that I am eligible for Medi-Cal, and then from then on, hopefully, it won't be insanely difficult. To I'll probably have to make another appointment with the surgeon I was trying to see, and I don't know. I might have to do another consultation, but maybe not. I don't know, and I will find out in the future. So, I will. That's it. This is gonna be a really short video, probably. Um, uh, but I'll make another video, obviously, when the next thing happens. People yelling outside. People yelling outside. I'm recording. I opened the window though, so it's my fault. You wanna go outside, Kitty? There you go. I might edit that out. Otherwise, I'll just do some personal dialogue here, because why not? Otherwise, outside of all the insurance stuff, I'm doing pretty good. I'm working still at Starbucks almost every day. It's quite exhausting. Retail food service work, but it's definitely not the worst job ever. My plans for the rest of the year depend mostly on how quickly I'm able to get my medical stuff done, how quickly I'll be able to get the surgery over. Ideally, I have been saying for a while that I wanted to get my surgery done and over with before I went back to school, because I just didn't want to have to worry about it and have to worry about missing classes because of being out sick, recovering. However, I'm starting to rethink that a little bit, just because of how long this process is taking with the insurance, and how many obstacles I'm coming up against that I was not expecting. And I just really miss being in school, and I'm eager to finish, getting my AA in English, because I was very close when I dropped out to getting that. I would only need to take a couple more semesters. So I might go back as soon as, fall semester. We'll see. Or or the insurance stuff could come through really quickly, and I'll be able to do the surgery first, and then while I'm recovering during those couple of weeks, plan out and get ready to go back to school. So that would be my ideal situation, but if it doesn't work like that, it doesn't work out like that. If I end up going back to school first, and then, schooling while I continue to wait for everything else to pan out, that's fine too. Currently, I don't know how I'm going to have the money to pay for my textbooks when I go back to school, because when I when I apply, it'll be with financial aid because I'll be 24, which is the age you become eligible for that. Um, so tuition will be free, but textbooks will not. And textbooks are expensive, and I do not make very much money. So maybe my grandma or somebody will be willing to help me with that. Probably, I'm not super worried about it, but or I might be able to get a second job and help pay for that. However, I know myself, and the idea of working two jobs and going to school does not strike me as a like reasonable possibility for me personally. I'm just not that my stamina is not at those levels at all. Like I do one thing at a time, and I focus really hard on it and devote all of my energy to that. But I cannot spread myself out on more than two things at a time and do them well. I get very stressed um, and overwhelmed. So yeah, but I'm very excited to get back to school. I'm not. I'm torn right now between for like the future for goals. I personally I'm torn between getting my associates in English and then going on to study English and writing and maybe journalism, and just do writing and English related things, literary things. Maybe like start working on writing a book or short stories or collections of like personal works. I'd like to publish something about my personal experiences at some point because I've been recently going over a series of journal entries that I began in 2014 and they go through 2016, which is spans the time that I was in college and the dawning realization of what was going on with me personally regarding being trans and onwards from that point and how I dealt with it and how things panned out, which was not good, but it was interesting to see how I handled it and how I was looking at the situation at the time versus looking back over those journal entries and seeing where I came now. The lighting just got really cool all of a sudden because the sun's peeking through the clouds. But anyway, it's neat looking back on those, and I've been going through them and retyping them into a personal blog format, into like individual blog posts for each entry, and then splitting them between the original journal entry that I made at the time, and the second half of it is me commenting on it in the present day, in this year currently 2018, and kind of commenting on like how far I've come since then and like where I'm at now, and just it's been really interesting to kind of like, because I think there's always some part of people that, oh, if I could say this to my younger self, this is what I would say, or if I could go back in time to talk to the person that I was then and assure them that like it'll be okay in the future, that would help me so much. And obviously like I can't do that because time travel is impossible right now that we know of. Who knows, but it almost feels like doing that in a way, but backwards and less cool. But so that's been pretty neat, and I would like to publish that somewhere publicly at some point. But anyway, wow, I got really off topic. But anyway, going back to the future plans thing, it would be either studying English or my backup plan, the way I'm thinking about it, is just becoming a park ranger, like for the national parks. I love nature, and I love being out in nature, and nature really relaxes me, and it also means a lot to me personally. I care a lot about the planet, and I think I care a lot about people, and I feel like being out in nature calms people down and kind of makes them think about the grand scheme of things and how insignificant we are, and kind of gives people some perspective. And that sounds really like hippie, I'm just realizing, but it's true and I believe it. So yeah, my backup plan is to become a park ranger, and because it'll at least be a steady income, and I know I'll mostly like it because I'll get to be outside a lot. But it's definitely not my number one choice. My number one choice would be something where I get to, talk to people and like help them through their experiences, or maybe like just discuss my own experiences in a way that gets them out there for other people to, you know, just be living representation. Because I spent a lot of my growing up years, and even now sometimes a little bit, just kind of keeping all of my struggles and experiences to myself because nobody wanted to hear about them. That was around me and my family at the time, and I didn't feel like I was safe to talk about them, or people wouldn't take me seriously. And now, and I'd like to eventually like get to a point where I can talk about them and not care if people take me seriously or not, and like inspire others to feel like they're normal, all that stuff. So that's where I'm at right now, and what I've been thinking about a lot lately. And wow, this video did end up being pretty long. Actually, my longest video. Well, just goes to show, what I know. So anyway, that's all for now. And I will... No Star Wars shirt this time. Plain regular boring workout shirt. I was gonna go for a run. The weather's really warm, but it's nice. And it's March, and this is my video. Wow, I don't want to end it like that. That's really lame. I have no outro. Goodbye until next time.